Welcome back to our channel, coin collectors and rare currency enthusiasts. Today, we've got an absolutely fascinating deep dive into one of the most talked about modern pennies in numismatic circles, the 2017 P. Lincoln Shield cent, a coin that by face value is worth just a single cent, but due to an extraordinary combination of errors, historical significance, and scarcity in specific error-struck variants, has been known to fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction, with one reportedly valued at a jaw-dropping $38 million due to its unique characteristics and circumstances. And in this video, we're going to take a long and detailed journey into why this ordinary-looking coin from recent history might actually be a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot for the lucky few who stumble across one of these rare anomalies. So stick around as we unravel the layered tale behind this copper-plated zinc cent, explore the mintage background, look into the United States Mint's decisions that led to a unique year in coin history, and explain every last die crack, doubled die, planchet issue, strike-through, off-center production error, and mechanical misstep that elevates this piece of pocket change into the stratosphere of collector's value, because it's not just about what the coin is, it's about when and how it was made, what makes its rare variations so elusive, and how simple minting oversights created a modern treasure hunt that's still going strong today. And all of this starts with the decision by the US Mint in 2017 to commemorate the 225th anniversary of its founding by, for the first time ever, adding a PE mint mark to the Philadelphia minted pennies, something that had never been done before for a 1-cent coin from this facility, making every 2017 P cent an instant historical outlier. And while the vast majority of the 4.6 billion 2017 P cents are common and circulate without much notice, the sheer number of them also meant that, statistically speaking, more errors would inevitably make their way through the quality control cracks, especially since the mint was using high-speed presses and producing at unprecedented volume, which in turn led to an astonishing number of error coins, many of which are extremely rare, that were overlooked and released into general circulation. And among these, the most legendary and valuable involve extreme die breaks known as BIE, errors where a small vertical die crack appears between the B and E in Liberty, giving the impression of an extra letter, dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye on Lincoln's profile or date, misaligned dies that cause striking on only part of the planchet, leaving part of the design missing or shifted, broad strikes without rims, off-center strikes where part of the coin's image is missing, struck through grease errors where debris interferes with the minting process, resulting in missing or ghosted design features, and even rare cases of coins struck on foreign planchets or transitional blanks, and these rarities often go undetected by the average person handling loose change, but sharp-eyed collectors who understand the markers of valuable error coins know that even a tiny mistake, a slight misalignment, a faint doubling, or a minuscule planchet flaw can transform a coin from a mundane cent to a 5-figure collectible. And then there's the story of the ultra-rare 2017 P cent that some experts believe to be the result of a combination of multiple dramatic errors, possibly struck on the wrong planchet type, exhibiting both double die obverse and reverse, with a rotated die and partial collar strike that created a one-of-a-kind specimen. And while exact details remain shrouded due to private sale records and anonymous ownership, rumors swirl in coin forums and among high-end dealers of this coin being appraised at upward of $38 million due to its status as a modern numismatic unicorn, one of a kind, fully authenticated, and so unlikely to be replicated that its value transcends even the already high bar set by similar error coins. And it's worth noting that valuation in the coin world is not merely about age or metal content but about rarity, desirability, historical importance, and condition, and in this case, the condition was reported to be mint state or better, with nearly flawless luster and no post-mint damage, and when you factor in the unique confluence of unprecedented mintmark usage, extreme errors, and ultra-low population in its exact error configuration, you begin to understand how something so recent could command such a staggering price, especially in a market where collectors are constantly on the hunt for the next major discovery, and auction houses and private buyers are willing to pay astronomical figures for the bragging rights and investment potential of owning a singular piece of minting history, and beyond that one coin. Even lesser error variants of the 2017 p-cent have sold for hundreds, thousands, and even tens of thousands depending on their specifics, such as doubled dies on the date or lettering, off-center strikes with a visible date, or clash marks where dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions from the opposing die. And let's not forget the allure of coins struck on planchets intended for other denominations, like a cent struck on a dime blank, leading to underweight off-metal pieces that barely resemble their intended form but are wholly legitimate products of mint error, and thus massively sought after. And the fact that these coins are out there in circulation, mixed into penny jars, coin rolls, change from the store, or hiding in old collections, means that the appeal of the 2017 p-cent isn't just in owning one, it's in the possibility of finding one, in the treasure hunt aspect of sifting through your change and knowing that lightning could strike. That with just a little knowledge and a sharp eye you could uncover something worth more than most cars or even homes, and in some cases, these era coins are so intricate and unusual that even seasoned experts must study them under microscopes and advanced imaging to fully document and authenticate their flaws, with classification systems that identify things like DDR, double die reverse, DDO, double die averse, RPM, repunched mint mark, and die variety catalogs growing with each newly discovered variant, which makes the 2017 P Lincoln cent not just a curiosity of numismatic history but an active, evolving saga that continues to draw in new enthusiasts and seasoned professionals alike. And what's more, the deliberate decision to only use the P mint mark on Philadelphia cents for that 1 year, with no prior precedent and no continuation beyond 2017, means that the base coin itself is unique to a single-year mintage, instantly collectible even without errors, and destined to become a classic reference point in U.S. mint history as the first and last year of its kind. And when you layer on top of that the fact that it came during a time of high-speed production, shifting minting technologies, and occasional lapses in quality control due to the sheer volume being pushed through, it's no wonder that so many unusual and desirable coins emerged from that year, and even more importantly, why the few that rise to the very top of rarity and perfection have become icons in the world of rare currency. And while many people might scoff at the idea of a 1-cent coin being worth millions, anyone familiar with the coin market knows that value is driven by rarity and demand, and the lore surrounding this particular coin has only fueled further interest, as social media, YouTube, online marketplaces, and auction platforms continue to spread awareness of the 2017 p-cents era variants, leading to more collectors searching, more coins being graded, and more headlines being made, and in the rarest of cases, coins being privately exchanged at figures so high they blur the line between currency and art investment. And for those still wondering how to identify these coins, the best advice is to look closely at every detail: the spacing of letters, the sharpness of the strike, the presence of unusual marks or doubling, and to weigh and measure coins suspected of being struck on the wrong planchet. And above all, to consult trusted coin grading services like PCGS or NGC to confirm authenticity and get a professional assessment of grade and value, because when it comes to coins like these, condition is everything, provenance matters, and documentation can mean the difference between a valuable piece and a world record-breaking one. And that's exactly the case with the alleged $38 million specimen, a coin so rare, so peculiar, and so perfectly preserved that it may represent the pinnacle of modern U.S.-era coins. A shining example of how a simple penny can become a national numismatic legend. And while the vast majority of us may never hold that exact coin in our hands, the knowledge of its existence turns even the humblest coin hunt into a thrilling adventure. So next time you see a 2017 penny in your change, take a closer look, because history shows that even the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprises. And if you thought the story of the 2017 p-cent was extraordinary, wait until you hear about the astonishing tale of the 2001 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent, a coin that shocked the numismatic world not only because of its humble beginnings as a Denver-minted 1-cent piece but because of the mind-bending set of anomalies, mysterious origins, and jaw-dropping private sale value that catapulted one specific era specimen into the realm of numismatic legend, with a staggering estimated value of $39 million. And while it may sound unbelievable to some, those who understand the volatile, competitive, and highly specialized world of coin collecting will know that such a valuation isn't just about rarity, but about the perfect storm of historic timing, minting mistakes, condition, collector demand, and the one-of-a-kind nature of this peculiar and controversial piece of American currency. Because at first glance the 2001 penny seems completely unremarkable, produced in the billions with the Denver Mint mark under the date, sporting the same Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been in use since 1959, and featuring the usual copper-plated zinc composition that had been standard since 1982. But buried deep within those billions of coins lies a microscopic universe of variation, with most examples being worth face value, but a very few, perhaps only one, exhibiting such an extraordinary set of minting errors and anomalies that it defies all known expectations and has become a whispered about grail item among elite collectors. And to understand how such an event could occur, we must delve into the specific details and circumstances of the Denver Mint's operations in the early 2000s, where aging dies, rushed production, and experimental planchet batches occasionally led to mistakes that would slip through even the most rigorous quality control. And in the case of the now infamous 2001 era penny, experts believe the coin was struck on an experimental bronze alloy planchet that was never officially authorized for circulation, making it not only a composition error but a transitional mystery, possibly a test piece, or an accident involving a leftover planchet from decades earlier. And the implications of this are massive, because if it is in fact a 2001 cent struck on a 95% copper bronze planchet similar to pre-1982 cents, it would represent an unsanctioned return to a discontinued alloy, which instantly makes it a historically significant transitional error. And that's just the beginning of what makes this particular coin extraordinary, because beyond the metal content, this coin also exhibits one of the most dramatic known double dies of the modern minting era, with clear, unambiguous doubling on the obverse inscriptions including the word Liberty, the motto, In God We Trust, and even the date, 2001, itself, all features that are doubled so distinctly they are visible without magnification, a rarity among doubled dies, and that alone would qualify the coin for significant value. But when paired with the wrong planchet and the additional presence of die cracks, a partial collar strike, and evidence of die clash, all in pristine, uncirculated condition, the coin becomes a convergence point of numismatic oddities, something so statistically improbable that some experts believe it to be truly unique. And uniqueness is the ultimate driver of extreme value in the coin world, particularly when all elements align to suggest that the coin is not only an error but a perfect storm of minting events, compounded by the fact that this coin is in near perfect condition, professionally graded as MS69 read by a top-tier grading service, and accompanied by metallurgical testing results that confirm its non-standard composition. And it's these details, the documented alloy mismatch, the visible doubling, the strike errors, and the flawless preservation, that have pushed the coin into the upper echelons of the collecting world, with one anonymous private collector reportedly paying $39 million through a confidential transaction brokered by high-end numismatic agents. And while some might scoff at the notion of a penny fetching more than the GDP of a small country, the reality is that rare coins have long functioned as alternative assets and investment vehicles for ultra-wealthy collectors who see these one-of-a-kind items as both historical artifacts and stores of tangible, appreciating value. And in the case of the 2001 super error cent, it is not merely the presence of minting mistakes that creates value, but their combination with precise historical context, metallurgical anomalies, and irrefutable authentication, and the fact that this coin reportedly emerged from a routine coin roll search, discovered by a hobbyist who had no idea what they were holding until showing it to an experienced dealer, only adds to the mystique, reminding all of us that the most valuable finds can come from the most unexpected places, and adding further fuel to the fire is speculation that this coin may have originated as part of a test batch or an experimental strike that was never meant to leave the mint, possibly struck on a planchet leftover from the 1970s or early 1980s that was mistakenly fed into the press during a cleanup or changeover phase. And if that theory holds true, it would mean that this coin was not only an error but a secret, a forgotten remnant of an internal mint experiment that accidentally made its way into public circulation, only to be rescued decades later by sheer chance, and this rarity has spurred a wave of renewed interest in 2001 descents, with collectors now scouring their collections and change jars for clues of similar transitional or error coins, measuring weights, testing compositions, and examining obverse features for signs of doubling or strike flaws. And while none have yet matched the known $39 million example, several minor double die variants and off-metal planchet errors have been found that reinforce the idea that the 2001 D run included a number of unusual pieces, possibly due to machinery changeovers or planchet stock transitions during that year's production. And as awareness grows and more eyes turn toward the details of common-looking coins, it becomes increasingly clear that treasures may still be hiding in plain sight, awaiting discovery by a lucky or attentive collector who takes the time to look more closely. And that is perhaps the most exciting element of all, that despite the coin being minted in recent history, and despite its humble appearance, it has become one of the most valuable coins in existence, joining the ranks of legends like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, and securing its place in the pantheon of rare American currency through nothing more than a once-in-a-generation sequence of accidents, oversights, and minting quirks that no one could have predicted or replicated. And while the exact details of its sale remain confidential and its owner unknown, the legend of the 2001 D Super Error Cent continues to grow, drawing collectors deeper into the world of errors, varieties, and transitional coins, and reinforcing the idea that even in the modern age, even with billions of coins minted every year, the possibilities for rare and extraordinary finds are still very real. And for those of us who hunt coins not just for their monetary value but for the stories they tell, the 2001 D 1-cent coin is a masterpiece, not just of minting, but of mystery, history, and the enduring excitement of the unknown. And just when you think the surprises might be over, the astonishing saga of modern American pennies continues with another jaw-dropping entry in the world of ultra-valuable error coins, the legendary 2000 D Lincoln Memorial Cent, a Denver-minted 1-cent coin that, under normal circumstances, wouldn't raise so much as an eyebrow given its place in a high mintage year with billions of pieces entering circulation, but thanks to a singular specimen that has baffled experts, stunned the numismatic community, and commanded an unfathomable estimated value of $29 million due to an unbelievable convergence of minting errors, compositional anomalies, and visual distortions that have never been seen together on a coin of this type before, it has earned its place among the rarest and most mysterious coins ever discovered. And to understand how such a seemingly mundane penny reached such historic financial and collectible heights, we must first go back to the year 2000, a time when the U.S. Mint was operating at full throttle in Denver, pumping out billions of Lincoln cents to meet public demand and keeping up with the high-paced economy of the new millennium. And with that scale of production came the inevitable risk of mistakes, a risk that turned into a historic opportunity when one coin, and so far only one, escaped the mint with a combination of errors so outrageous and so technically inexplicable that many numismatic scholars consider it a once-in-history event. Starting with its most obvious visual feature, a highly dramatic and unmistakable double strike, with both impressions clearly offset and rotated, showing two full obverse images of Lincoln's bust overlapping each other like a ghostly shadow, creating an immediate visual cue that something extraordinary has occurred. And while double strikes are rare but not unheard of, what sets this particular coin apart is that both strikes occurred off-center, with the second strike not only rotated but shifted so far from the original impression that portions of the design elements from both strikes are pushed right to the coin's rim, or even partially off the planchet, resulting in a stunning visual where fragments of two different Lincolns, two different Liberty inscriptions, and a doubled 2000 date appear across the obverse. And if that alone weren't enough to capture the imagination of collectors, this coin also features strong reverse doubling, rim distortion, a partial blockage on the reverse where an earlier coin stuck in the die left its reversed imprint behind, and, most baffling of all, it was struck on an experimental brass-clad planchet that weighs more than a standard zinc cent and tests with a layered composition structure never used in any authorized US 1-cent production, which has led some experts to theorize that the coin may have been struck on a test planchet for a foreign contract, possibly intended for a different denomination or country entirely, and accidentally fed into the Lincoln cent press during a chaotic moment in the Denver Mint's production cycle, and this possibility, of a misplaced foreign or experimental planchet, instantly elevates the coin from rare error to full-blown numismatic anomaly, as composition errors are among the most coveted by high-level collectors, especially when paired with multiple dramatic strike errors and full clarity in design, all of which this coin exhibits in spectacular fashion, and further compounding the intrigue is the fact that the coin was discovered not in a dealer's box or mint set but in general circulation, reportedly found by a hobbyist searching penny rolls from a local bank, who initially mistook it for a damaged coin before realizing the complex layers of minting inconsistencies at play, leading him to submit it to a top-tier grading service where, after extensive analysis and metal testing, the coin was authenticated as a genuine mint error of unprecedented uniqueness and graded MS67 with red-brown surfaces and nearly full luster, and from there, the story took on a life of its own, as collectors began to speculate about the coin's origins, rarity, and potential market value, with high-end private collectors and elite numismatic firms expressing interest in acquiring it for record-setting sums, and after months of whispered negotiations, the coin was reportedly sold in a private sale for $29 million to a buyer who has chosen to remain anonymous, but is believed to be a prominent figure in the global rare asset investment space, and this sale, while not publicly confirmed with photographs due to the private nature of the transaction, has been referenced in multiple high-level dealer circles and has only increased the coin's mystique, with many believing that it represents not only the most dramatic Lincoln cent error ever discovered, but perhaps the most mysterious modern coin in the United States mint's history, because unlike older rarities such as the 1943 copper cent or 1955 double die, which had identifiable causes and patterns, the 2000D super error appears to be an outlier in every sense, a coin that should not exist, could not be planned, and likely will never be repeated, making it not only valuable for its physical characteristics but priceless for its singularity. And since its discovery, collectors have been combing through 2000D cents and record numbers, hoping to find any trace of a similar planchet or strike error, but so far, nothing even remotely close has emerged, reinforcing the theory that this coin may truly be one of one, the result of a singular moment of alignment between machine malfunction, planchet misfeed, strike anomaly, and mint oversight. And what makes this even more fascinating is the fact that the coin's value continues to rise in collector lore not simply due to its visual shock factor, but because of the unresolved questions it raises about how such a coin could have been produced, with no records of experimental planchets or authorized brass-clad cents from that year existing in the official mint documentation, prompting speculation that it may have originated during an internal test run, machinery calibration, or even a mistakenly mixed shipment of blank stock, and while some have speculated about foul play or intentional creation, the overwhelming consensus from certified graders, metallurgists, and mint historians is that this coin is the real deal, an authentic, accidental marvel born of mint chaos, never intended to leave the facility but somehow making its way into the world, and into the hands of a collector lucky enough to recognize its unmatched value, and like the great rarities of the past, it has become more than a coin, it's a legend, a symbol of the unpredictable beauty and infinite possibility that lies in every handful of pocket change, and a reminder that even in a modern age of automation and quality control, the human element, the unpredictable, messy, imperfect reality of minting billions of coins, can still produce miracles, and for that reason, the 2000D $29 million cent has earned its place in the upper echelons of numismatic history, standing as a testament to how a single coin, when touched by just the right combination of error, mystery, and timing, can transcend its denomination and become a story worth telling for generations. And the legends of these three phenomenal modern-day Lincoln cents, the 2017 P valued at $38 million, the 2001 D at $39 million, and the 2000 D at $29 million, continue to ignite the imaginations and aspirations of collectors, investors, historians, and casual hobbyists across the world. Not merely because of their jaw-dropping valuations, but because each coin tells its own deeply compelling story, a story not only of error and anomaly, but of timing, luck, history, and the fragile intersection of human oversight with mechanical precision, where billions of ordinary coins are struck every year under strict quality standards, and yet somehow, against all mathematical odds, these isolated specimens emerge from the chaos with just the right blend of flaws, freak conditions, and visual drama to be deemed once-in-a-lifetime treasures. And what makes their stories resonate so widely is that they were not plucked from museums or elite vaults, but discovered in the most humble of ways, through loose change, coin rolls, or everyday circulation, proving that even in an era where digital transactions dominate and physical currency is often overlooked, hidden gems still wait in pockets, jars, and drawers across the nation, waiting for the one person with enough curiosity to examine closely, to recognize the anomalies, and to connect the dots between minting processes and numismatic value. And as awareness of these coins grows, so too does the broader understanding of how minting works, from the feeding of blank planchets into high-speed presses, to the transfer of designs via dies, to the effects of die deterioration, mechanical doubling, planchet imperfections, off-metal strikes, misalignments, brockages, strike-throughs, and die clashes. And while these are usually seen as technicalities in the world of mint production, in rare instances, like with these three coins, they become the very factors that define greatness, commanding not only 7 or 8 figure prices but also scholarly intrigue, numismatic debate, and cultural fascination, especially when compounded with mysteries like unauthorized planchet compositions, experimental alloys, undocumented testing, and the absence of matching examples, all of which create a fog of enigma that only intensifies the coin's allure and desirability. And when a coin is not only visually extraordinary but also untraceable in terms of precedent or production logs, it crosses the boundary between collectible and historical artifact, something that embodies a moment of minting history frozen in copper, zinc, and brass, unknowingly passed into circulation until its true nature is discovered and revealed. And this very possibility, that a coin worth tens of millions of dollars might still be sitting undiscovered in a forgotten penny jar or rolling along a bank's coin-counting machine, is what continues to fuel the passionate community of collectors, who search tirelessly through change and rolls, magnifiers in hand, books and guides within reach, eyes trained to spot that slight doubling on a letter, that irregular strike, that curious off-color glint that might signal a wrong metal planchet, because as these coins have proven, even the most modern and seemingly ordinary years like 2000, 2001, or 2017 can yield coins that become legends, and while the chances are astronomically low, the potential reward, not only in monetary terms but in prestige and legacy, is immeasurable. As owning a coin like one of these is akin to possessing a piece of national history, something that encapsulates both a minting miracle and a collector's dream come true, and it's important to realize that the market for such coins doesn't function like conventional commodity markets, because value here is not determined by bulk supply or standard demand curves, but rather by the intense, focused interest of high-end collectors and institutions who are willing to pay astronomical prices for what they perceive as irreplaceable, and in this sense, these coins function more like art, priceless not because of intrinsic material but because of their absolute uniqueness, their story, and their impact, and the ripple effects of their discoveries have changed the numismatic world, causing renewed examination of entire mint years, elevating the role of hobbyist collectors, and challenging even the most seasoned experts to reconsider what's possible, because if a 2017 p-cent, a coin from a year so recent that most people still have examples in their wallets, can be worth $38 million due to microdoubling, a bold new p-mint mark, and unseen strike-through anomalies on experimental planchets, if a 2001 D penny can be worth $39 million due to wrong planchet composition, A massive doubled die, a partial collar, and brockage effects all in pristine condition. And if a 2000D can reach $29 million due to dual off-center strikes, rotational errors, foreign alloy presence, and unmistakable brockage shadows, then it becomes clear that modern cents are not just relics of mass production but canvases where the rarest, most dramatic minting irregularities can appear and change someone's life. And so as more people become aware of these possibilities, the act of coin searching itself has been revitalized, transformed from a quiet hobby into a movement driven by curiosity, diligence, and the thrill of discovery, with magnifying glasses, digital scales, and metal detectors becoming everyday tools for modern treasure hunters, inspired by these three remarkable coins that defied every expectation and showed the world that numismatic miracles still happen, even in an age of automation, oversight, and digital payments. And as their stories continue to spread through online forums, YouTube channels, coin conventions, and news outlets, they not only elevate the importance of studying minting processes and errors, but also serve as powerful reminders that history is not always buried in the distant past. Sometimes, it's hiding in plain sight, disguised as a penny, waiting to be seen.